All because I refused to cook a meal for Vincent Smith's old flame. He forcibly terminated my mother's treatment. I knelt in the snow all night with a high fever. That evening, the hospital issued a critical condition notice. I called him again and again, but he blocked my number. 2 days later, my mother died in agony because she couldn't get timely treatment. Meanwhile, his old flame posted a photo of them together on social media. Captioned, "If the rest of my life is with you, I don't mind waiting a bit longer." After the funeral, I calmly asked him for a divorce. He couldn't believe that I no longer loved him. "Vincent, let's get a divorce." I could forgive him for humiliating and torturing me for Trudy Langley's sake. I could forgive him for abandoning me time and time again for Trudy Langley. But I cannot forgive him for disregarding my mother's life and forcibly terminating her treatment, all for Trudy Langley. He knew full well that my mother's illness was in its final stages, and that she would die without immediate treatment. Yet he still did it. All because I refused to cook a meal for his old flame. How ridiculous. A human life was less important than his old flame's happiness. Ding! webnovel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. After arranging my mom's funeral, I returned home to collect my belongings. Back at my rented flat, I realized I'd forgotten to take the painting Mom had given me. It was her 18th birthday gift to me, painted by her own hand, hanging in Vincent's study. So I went back to the villa once more. I thought Vincent wouldn't be there, but as soon as I opened the door, I locked eyes with Vincent and Trudy sitting on the sofa. They both looked travel-worn, with several suitcases beside them. Seeing me, Vincent curled his lip mockingly. "So you remember to come back? Perfect timing. Trudy will be staying here for a few days. Go and prepare the guest room." I didn't know what Vincent was thinking, but every time Trudy came to stay, he made me tend to her. Before I could refuse, Trudy smiled at me apologetically, though her hands possessively tightened around Vincent. "Miss Bailey, I'm so sorry to trouble you. Vincent and I just got back from France, and we're too lazy to move again. Thank you for your help these next few days." So they were in France when my mom passed away. A week ago. Trudy said she wanted to try my cooking and asked me to make her dinner. That day I had a high fever and had been looking after Mom in the hospital all day. I was too exhausted to get up, so I declined. Trudy immediately pouted, looking displeased. I don't know what she said to Vincent after that. When I woke up, I received a notice from the hospital. He had ordered the doctors to discontinue my mom's treatment. The hospital belongs to Vincent's family. It has the most advanced medical equipment and the best specialists in the world. Only he could save my mom. I called him desperately, over and over, but he never picked up. 2 days later, Mom's condition worsened. Without timely treatment, she died in agony. When I needed him most, in my darkest hour, he took Trudy to France, completely ignoring me. I held back, barely managing to keep the tears from spilling out of my eyes. "Vincent, we're through. From now on, your weddings, funerals, or anything else have nothing to do with me. And don't bother me with her affairs anymore." Without waiting for their reaction, I went straight to the study and took down the painting. As I passed through the living room, Vincent held a glass of red wine, looking at me with displeasure. "Stop right there. Did I say you could leave? Who do you think you are, coming and going as you please? If you dare take one step out of here today, be prepared to collect your mother's body." I paused briefly. Vincent knew better than anyone what Mom meant to me. He was so confident that as long as Mom was alive, I couldn't leave him. That's why he dared to hurt me time and again for Trudy's sake, knowing I would always obey him. But now he's lost that chance. I buried Mom with my own hands, and with her, I buried all possibilities between us. Seeing that I remained silent, Vincent thought he had me cornered. He arrogantly lifted his chin at me. "I'm hungry. Go make dinner for me and Trudy now, and I'll forgive all your previous disrespect." Seriously, who does he think he is? I looked at him coldly. "Vincent, are you deaf? I said we're over. You think you deserve to have me cook for you?" In the past, when I needed something from him, I couldn't curry favor fast enough. How could I ever have spoken to him like this? Hearing this, Vincent's face darkened. Sabrina, don't push your luck. You know my patience has limits. Oh, I know that all too well. In our 5 years together, Vincent Smith has never once tried to make amends after an argument. It's always been me who has to swallow my pride and apologize first. For every date, I make sure to leave half an hour early, because Vincent never waits for anyone. When we first started dating, we went hiking together. I asked him to wait 10 minutes while I bought some water. But due to the crowds, I was a bit late getting back. Without so much as a word, he left me stranded on the mountain. Since then, I've developed a habit of constantly checking the time. Vincent reserves what little patience he has for Trudy Langley. No matter how late it is, if she calls, he'll brave any weather to fly to her side. Even though Trudy always keeps him waiting when they meet, he bears it with a smile, never showing any displeasure. Trudy stepped in front of Vincent, looking at me disapprovingly. Miss Bailey, even if you don't want to cook for me, there's no need to speak to Vincent like that. And constantly threatening to break up is a major no-no in relationships. I let out a cold laugh. Who do you think you are? My relationship with him is none of your business. Trudy's smile faltered. Suddenly, she bit her lip, feigning hurt. I'm sorry, Miss Bailey. If I've said anything to upset you, I apologize. As she spoke, she deliberately took a few steps towards me. Then, as if losing her balance, she spilled her red wine all over my painting. Oh no! Trudy exclaimed, hurriedly trying to wipe it clean with her sleeve, only making it worse. I didn't miss the flash of malice in her eyes. In that instant, all reason left me. Before I knew it, I had slapped her across the face. Vincent and Trudy were stunned by my action. The room fell deathly silent. A few seconds later, Vincent snapped out of it. He strode over, shielding her behind him, while gripping my arm tightly. His eyes were filled with icy contempt as he looked at me. Sabrina, how dare you? What gives you the right to hit her? Trudy covered her face, tears streaming down. Miss Bailey, I really didn't mean to. How much was the painting? I'll pay for it, of course. I tilted my head back, trying desperately not to let my own tears fall. Pay? How could you possibly compensate me for this? My mother is gone, and this was the only painting she left me. Vincent let out a cold laugh. For this rubbish? I'll buy you 100 of them. With that, he snatched the painting from my hands, poured another bottle of red wine all over it, and stomped on it with his trainers. In an instant, a large hole appeared in the middle, as if that foot had stomped right on my heart. I lunged at him. No! Give it back to me! This is all I have left from my mom. Vincent kicked me away without mercy. Then, right in front of me, he stomped on the painting again and again until it was in tatters. After he finished, he looked down at me imperiously. Now, apologize to Trudy. Immediately! I cried as I clutched the shredded pieces on the floor. The sharp edges cut into my flesh. But I felt nothing as I desperately tried to gather them into my arms. Vincent frowned, gripping my chin forcefully. Don't make me tell you twice. I violently swatted his hand away. My eyes filled with nothing but disgust and an hatred so deep it couldn't be dissolved. Vincent was taken aback for a moment. As if burned by my gaze, his grip unconsciously loosening. I ignored him, sinking into deep self-reproach and self-loathing. Mom, I'm so useless. I couldn't even protect the one thing you left for me. Vincent finally noticed something was wrong with me and was about to reach out his hand. But Trudy stopped him. Vincent, my face hurts so much. Can you please check if it's swollen? Trudy's skin was delicate, and I had slapped her with almost all my strength. The handprint on her fair cheek was quite shocking to see. The hint of tenderness that had just risen in Vincent was instantly replaced by anger when he saw her swollen face. Sabrina, it seems I've been too lenient with you. I'll give you one last chance. Apologize to Trudy. What if I don't? I retorted. Vincent narrowed his eyes threateningly. Don't you want to save your mom anymore? I suddenly laughed. Tears flowed like broken strings of pearls, unstoppable. Vincent's face flashed with a strange expression. "What are you laughing at?" I looked at him with mockery all over my face. "I'm laughing at how stupid you are, how blind you are. You think I'm still the same Sabrina from before? That I'd beg you like a dog with just a word from you? If you'd bothered to ask, you wouldn't be using such a foolish reason to threaten me. If my mom were still alive, let alone apologizing to Trudy, I'd kneel and kowtow to her 3 times without hesitation. But now he no longer had a hold over me, and I'd rather die than give him what he wants." Trudy was angered by my response and stamped her foot. "Vincent, I've told you before. This kind of woman isn't suitable for you, but you wouldn't listen. If her mom was really that ill, how could she have this attitude? Could this be another lie she's told you?" "Shut up!" I snapped. Since my mom fell ill, her hair had been falling out in clumps, and she could only sleep with painkillers. I'd have to be out of my mind to use this as an excuse to deceive him. Vincent knew all of this. But he didn't correct Trudy, only giving me an ultimatum instead. "Sabrina, if you apologize to Trudy today, I can pretend nothing happened." I repeated, "You can forget it." My continued defiance angered Vincent. He let out a cold laugh, a cruel smile curling his lips. "I've already found the best specialists in the country for your mom. If you had just behaved, I could have let them continue treating her. But you've disappointed me too much. You'll never learn unless I teach you a lesson." As he spoke, he took out his phone and tapped the screen a few times, then glanced at me carelessly, as if waiting for me to beg him. I stared at him expressionlessly, even hoping he would hurry up and press the button. I'd had enough of his smug clown face. Vincent waited in vain for my plea. His hand gripping the phone tightened until his veins bulged. Finally, he dialed his assistant's number. His voice was as cold as ice, devoid of any warmth. "Cancel tomorrow's specialist consultation for Sabrina's mother. There's no need for any future appointments either." The assistant on the other end exclaimed. "Mr. Smith, Miss Bailey's mother has passed away." "Didn't you know?" "What?" Vincent's body shook with disbelief. "What nonsense are you talking about? The doctor said last time that with proper care, she could live for another decade or so." Then, as if realizing something, he continued. "I see. Is it Sabrina who told you to say this? You ungrateful dog, if this happens again, pack your things and get out." Vincent hung up abruptly, not waiting for a response. Vincent was always like this, only hearing what he wanted to hear. It had been so long since he last visited my mom. If he had cared about me even a little, he would have known about my frequent hospital visits over the past 2 months. Mom's condition required constant medication, and she couldn't be without the ventilator and monitoring equipment for a day. Yet, to appease Trudy, he cruelly cut off her treatment. Mom was in unbearable pain, scratching herself until she bled. In just 2 days, she took her last breath in extreme agony. Although Vincent's family owned hospitals, he disliked the smell of them. In our 5 years together, I could count on one hand the number of times he visited my mom. Each time, it was only after I had pestered him endlessly. He would briefly glance at her and leave without looking back. After hanging up, Vincent looked at me with dissatisfaction. "I will get to the bottom of this. If I find out you're lying to me, you know the consequences." I scoffed. "Vincent Smith, who do you think you are? Do you think I would use my mom's life to deceive you? You're not worth it. When I loved him, he was my everything. Now that I don't, he means nothing to me." Finally, I glanced at the shattered picture frame on the floor and left. Despite the reluctance in my heart, I knew that no matter how much the painting was restored, it would never be the same. Just like us. After leaving Vincent's house, I collapsed in bed and slept for 2 days and nights. These 5 years had truly exhausted me. Caring for my mom while dealing with Vincent and Trudy. Actually, this outcome with him was inevitable. We were never from the same world. I had forcefully entered his life, sharing a not too long, not too short period with him. At university, we were both members of the hiking society. Vincent was cold and aloof, but his handsome looks made him popular among the girls. He was often described as having that brooding, mysterious appeal. Falling in love with him was the simplest thing. He was the most exceptional and outstanding man I had ever met. My repeated attempts to get close to him were always rebuffed. It took me 2 years to melt this iceberg. Once, I thought I was the happiest woman in the world. Until Trudy Langley returned from abroad. Only then did I realize that everything had been my own delusion. She was the birthmark on Vincent's heart, while I was just an annoying speck of blood on the wall. She effortlessly captured all of Vincent's attention and affection. It was only after Trudy's appearance that I discovered Vincent could have such a gentle and affectionate side. I woke up after what felt like an eternity, finally roused by hunger. Reluctantly, I dragged myself out of bed, thinking I'd go downstairs for a bowl of pasta. But as soon as I opened the door, my eyes locked with those of the man leaning against the wall. Vincent had been standing outside for who knows how long. A layer of frost covered his black wool coat, and his eyes were bloodshot. Seeing me, Vincent lowered his head in shame, his voice hoarse and barely audible. "Sabrina, I'm so sorry. I truly didn't know about your mom. I never thought things would turn out like this." Of course he didn't know, because he never cared about my mother's well-being in the first place. She was just a pawn he could use to control me. Now that she was gone, he had no use for me anymore. There was nothing left to say between us. As I tried to walk past him, Vincent grabbed my arm, his voice tinged with desperation. "Sabrina, please come back with me. I promise I'll make it up to you." I yanked my arm away. "I don't need anything from you." Vincent looked at me, his expression pained. "Sabrina, I know I've made mistakes. I've put you through so much. But I've learned my lesson. If you come back with me, I'll do anything you want." Just as he finished speaking, Vincent's phone rang. Trudy's name on the screen was like a slap in the face. Vincent held the phone, carefully gauging my reaction, then silently declined the call. Suddenly, a mischievous thought popped into my head. I smirked and said, "All right, I'll come back with you on one condition. Swear that from now on, you'll never see or contact Trudy Langley again." Vincent hesitated. "Sabrina, I can promise you anything but that." I let out a scornful laugh. Vincent couldn't even bring himself to lie to me. He was so blatantly despicable, refusing to let me go while still entangled with Trudy. My expression turned cold as I forcefully broke free from his grasp and headed downstairs without looking back. When I returned, Vincent was gone. At the same time, I received a bank notification. My account had suddenly been credited with 20 million, with the note for the painting. It took me a moment to realize what it meant. That day when Vincent smashed my painting, he said he'd compensate me with 100 more. My mom was just a normal painting teacher. That painting meant the world to me, but it wasn't worth 20 million. Besides, did he think money could make up for all the pain he'd caused me over the years? I couldn't possibly keep this money, but I wouldn't return it either. He owed me at least this much. The next day, I found a charity and donated the entire 20 million in Vincent's name. Afterwards, I sent the donation certificate to Vincent. The moment the certificate was delivered, my phone started buzzing incessantly. I didn't answer. After several attempts, Vincent stopped calling. But that evening, the doorbell rang. It was no surprise that Vincent was standing outside the door. He frowned. "Sabrina, why are you doing this? I owe you this much, and I don't expect you to forgive me. But please give me a chance to make it up to you." "No need," I replied curtly. As I was about to close the door, Vincent raised his hand to block it. "Sabrina, I won't give up." I soon found out what he meant by that. A few days later, a new neighbor moved in next door. I suddenly had a bad feeling. That feeling was quickly confirmed. The new neighbor was Vincent. He smiled at me ingratiatingly. "Sabrina, since you won't come back with me, I've moved here. I believe that one day, you'll realize my feelings for you are genuine." I slammed the door shut with a bang. I didn't know what Vincent was trying to do. He thought that after everything, I would still be with him. I wasn't that desperate. Back then, I shamelessly clung to him. Now it seemed our positions had reversed. On the first day after moving in, Vincent was banging on my door, seemingly determined not to leave until I opened it. Annoyed by the noise, I yanked the door open and snapped. This had better be important. Vincent proudly presented something in front of me. I glanced at it impatiently, then froze. It was the painting I hadn't taken with me that day. Vincent scratched his head sheepishly. I know this painting means a lot to you. Since you wouldn't take the money, I tried to restore it. See if it looks the same as before. How could it possibly look the same after being doused with wine and smashed to pieces? There were still traces of red wine stains on the painting, and the repaired areas showed signs of patching. Compared to the original, it now had an added sense of age and artistry. This painting had always hung in Vincent's study. Selfishly, I had hoped he would see me every time he looked up. Suddenly, I noticed several thin scratches on Vincent's hands, as if they had been cut by something sharp. Now I truly believed he had restored the painting himself. It was then that I belatedly realized Vincent had been trying to win me over lately, even going to unprecedented lengths. It was the first time in 5 years, but unfortunately, it was too late. The painting was ruined by him in the first place, so I accepted it without guilt. I'll take the painting, but don't bother me again. Vincent's eyes darkened. He wanted to say more, but I mercilessly slammed the door in his face. I've been looking for a job lately. I inherited my mother's talent for painting, and I studied art at university. But Vincent is very controlling. He doesn't like me being in the public eye or seeing me with other men. So I quit the hiking club for him and deleted all my friends' contact information for him. Even after graduation, I became like a caged bird, going nowhere except by his side, just as he wished. Yet he openly flirts with Trudy, going out with her, taking her to class reunions, and drinking on her behalf, making me, his so-called girlfriend, a laughingstock in everyone's eyes. But in the 3 years since graduation, I haven't worked a single day. The job search process hasn't been smooth. After another interview rejection, I was walking home exhausted when Vincent suddenly appeared and stopped me. Sabrina, I heard you're looking for a job. You don't really need to do this. You haven't worked a day in these 3 years by my side. No company wants to hire someone who isn't a fresh graduate and has no work experience. The job market isn't as simple as you think. Just stay by my side, and I can support you for life. For life? Those days were unbearable after just 3 years. I can't even imagine how desperate it would be for a lifetime. I looked at him coldly. It's none of your business. Get out of my way. Vincent thought for a moment. How about this? Come work at my company. You won't have to do anything. I'll pay you a regular salary every month. And you can play if you want or go to work if you feel like it, okay? How is that any different from being kept by him? Besides, he's underestimating me. I'm not as fragile as he thinks. If it weren't for him, I would have entered the workforce long ago with a job that could support myself. It's just 3 years late, that's all. This setback is nothing in my eyes. But Vincent is used to controlling every aspect of my life. After I clearly refused to go to his company, the next day, he handed me a contract to acquire an art gallery. He arrogantly declared, I bought this gallery in your name. Do whatever you want with it. If it makes a profit, it's yours. If it loses money, it's on me. I smirked sarcastically. Vincent, you really haven't changed at all. You never know what I want. You always arrange everything you think is right for me. Vincent's mouth twitched stiffly. I just don't want life to be too hard for you. Have you forgotten? All the hardships and grievances I've endured were because of you. In the 2 years since Trudy returned to the country, what kind of miserable life have I been living by his side? Unless he's senile, he surely can't have forgotten. Vincent was stunned for a while, a deep sense of remorse and guilt washing over his face. But I had no interest in appreciating it. Later, I found a job as a teacher at a hobby class. Although the salary isn't high, I'm very satisfied. I thought I'd never see Trudy Langley again. But while I didn't want to see her, she wouldn't leave me alone. I don't know how she found me here. But one day as I was just getting off work, I saw her waiting at the entrance of my building. Trudy looked me up and down with disdain. Sabrina, I really underestimated you. I can't believe you've got Vincent chasing you all the way to this dump. But if you think he actually loves you, you're dead wrong. He's just being kind, pitying you. I advise you to stay away from him if you know what's good for you. To be honest, I felt a bit sorry for Trudy. If she was so certain Vincent loved her, why would she come confront me like this? Her actions only proved how insecure she felt. I'd been getting annoyed with Vincent's constant pursuit lately, so I snapped. Perfect. I don't want to see him anymore either. Please, take him away. But Trudy thought I was bragging. Her face contorted with anger for a moment. What are you so smug about? He's just playing around with you. He'll realize soon enough that I'm the only one worthy of being his bride. I nodded half-heartedly. You're right. Trudy lifted her chin haughtily. If you're willing to leave him, I can offer you some money. Was she having comprehension issues? Or had I not expressed myself clearly enough? Vincent had been the one pursuing me this whole time, not the other way around. But before I could say anything, a frantic voice came from behind me. Trudy, what on earth are you saying? Vincent rushed over and grabbed my arm. Sabrina, don't listen to her. I won't let you leave me. Trudy's eyes welled up with tears. Vincent, can't you see that I have feelings for you? Vincent froze for a moment. When he looked at her again, his eyes were distant. Trudy, if I've done anything in the past to give you the wrong idea, I apologize. I've had time to think things through. And I realize now that I only see you as family, like a sister. Sabrina is the only one I love. I'd heard bits and pieces about Vincent and Trudy's history. As a child, Trudy had been a beautiful little doll, everyone's darling princess. Vincent had adored his pretty childhood friend, vowing from a young age to protect her and be her knight in shining armor. Later, Trudy went abroad to study. It was during this time that Vincent and I got together. At Trudy's welcome home party after she returned, she pretended to twist her ankle. Vincent panicked and rushed her to hospital, abandoning me. From then on, she wedged herself between Vincent and me. His indecisiveness hurt us both deeply. But whatever Vincent felt for Trudy now was no longer my concern. In the end, Trudy ran off in tears. I couldn't be bothered with Vincent either and went up to my flat. Little did I know, a month later, a huge scandal would rock our social circle. I only heard vague details from others. Apparently, after being rejected that day, Trudy tried to drug Vincent at a party, hoping to force him into marriage by sleeping with him. Vincent was caught off guard and drank the spiked drink, nearly embarrassing himself in public. When he found out Trudy was behind it, Vincent was furious. I heard he went to the hospital afterwards but didn't lay a finger on Trudy. My friend joked that Vincent was staying chaste for my sake. But I knew better. The thing Vincent hated most in life was being manipulated. Trudy's actions had destroyed any chance she might have had with Vincent. Afterwards, he cut off all business ties with the Langley family. The news of Trudy drugging Vincent spread like wildfire. Her family was so ashamed, they sent her back abroad. She wouldn't be returning anytime soon. After that day, Vincent didn't appear before me again. I thought he had finally given up. After all, how could Mr. Smith, the young master, shamelessly beg a woman's forgiveness again and again? Just as he said, he didn't have that much patience. However, I didn't expect to see him again on my birthday. This was the first time in over 20 years that my mom had missed my birthday. I took a day off, just wanting to stay at home. Unexpectedly, a classmate I hadn't been in touch with for a long time suddenly called me, inviting me out. After hesitating for a while, I decided to go. As soon as I reached the entrance, I was shocked by the scene before me. The restaurant entrance was covered with my photos, including some secretly taken of Vincent and me during university, and more of just me. Soft music was playing inside the restaurant. I had already guessed what was happening and walked in without hesitation. As soon as I entered, there was a loud pop, and I was startled by the sound of party poppers. Vincent was standing opposite me, holding flowers. We gazed at each other from a distance. Then he walked towards me with deep affection, got down on one knee, I instinctively took a step back. Vincent took out a ring from his pocket. His eyes filled with a tenderness and deep love I had never seen before. Sabrina, I was wrong before. I made you suffer a lot, but it won't happen again. Marry me, give me a chance to take care of you, will you? As soon as Vincent finished speaking, a wave of cheers erupted from the crowd. My classmates were all urging me to marry him. I had imagined this scene countless times before. Back then, I thought I would definitely cry and throw myself into his arms, nodding vigorously saying, I do. But now that it had really happened, it was at the time I least wanted it. I took a deep breath and looked at Vincent with utmost seriousness. At this man I had once been so infatuated with. Vincent, you might not believe this, but I've actually stopped loving you long ago. If it wasn't for my mom, I would have left you 2 years ago. Every minute and every second I spend with you makes me feel suffocated. It always reminds me of my mom, of how she died. Vincent, let me go, and let yourself go too. The smile froze on Vincent's face, his hand still holding up the ring. The whole place was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. No one expected me to refuse. They might even think I was being a bit ungrateful. They couldn't imagine why I would have any reason to refuse. A handsome and wealthy man like Vincent Smith. But actually, 2 years ago when he was entangled with Trudy, I had already made up my mind to leave him. However, just at that time, my mom suddenly collapsed and was later diagnosed with cancer. For my mom's sake, I had no choice but to stay. Perhaps he was just the tribulation in my life that I couldn't escape or avoid. Now that my mom was gone, everything should return to its original state. After that day, I moved to another city. A place without Vincent. I became an art blogger, occasionally taking commissions online. Because of my solid skills, I gradually accumulated some followers. And more people asked me to paint for them. Later, at an event, my work caught the eye of a master, who took me as his last disciple. My works became very popular in the circle, and I even held my own exhibition. I never saw Vincent Smith again. Yet he seemed to be everywhere. At my exhibitions, at my fan meets, I could always vaguely see his figure. But he never showed up. Perhaps he had taken what I said to heart. Afraid that seeing him would remind me of my mom. This is for the best. Between Vincent and me, this is all we can be in this lifetime. Free from the shackles of love, my future holds infinite possibilities.